Hello, welcome to Leap Taken. Here at Leap Taken, I talk all things witchy, craft-related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. And one of those in-between conversations, I wanted to talk about false starts in the witchcraft world, in your practice, in tradition, and share a little bit about myself, and then how I've been able to overcome these false starts. So I want to just start off by saying everybody's practice is different, and at no point am I saying my way is the only way or the way for you to achieve witchcraft success. Whatever, because that's a whole. Everyone has their own definition of that, and you should, and what it means to be a successful witch. So I'm going to start off in a tangent. I would caution against thinking that success means material wealth only, that it means having a bunch of things and having a lot of money to spend, money on these things, especially once you get into the world of like designer and all that sort of stuff, which is, if that's your thing, cool. But it's not just that. Emphasis on spirituality. I think one of the reasons a lot of us can have false starts because we come in with unrealistic expectations. And I don't mean in the world of manifesting, like, oh, don't have expectations or have the wildest expectations. No, I mean, some of us come in with legit, just unrealistic, from a physics point of view, never going to happen expectations. I've talked to people and I think they want the movie magic, but they want that to exist. And if it doesn't exist that way, they're technically, I can tell they're disappointed. It doesn't come across that way. One of the ways that magic has shown up in my life has been sometimes more quietly, sometimes in a very direct way where it's not so quiet and it's undeniable, and then iterations of each kind of happening all at the same time. It feels like chess pieces are moving on this board, and technically I am moving them, but not all the pieces, and they're moving at a rapid pace that seems otherworldly and supernatural. That's what magic kind of seems like to me. It's not always predictable. So if you're coming in with unrealistic expectations, it can kind of, you might not even be able to really get started. And I find that a lot of people never really get out of the basics of practicing. And they could have been practicing for quite a while. And I was guilty of that for a while myself, of never feeling like I was far removed from being a baby witch or a beginner witch. I was waiting for this feeling or this event to prove that I was a real witch. So false starts back and forth. So I think one of the first false starts I can think about and how I overcame it was the concept of what it is to be a witch. I didn't feel like a witch. I didn't look like a witch. I didn't have the things like a witch. So therefore, how am I really declaring I'm a witch? I didn't even necessarily have a problem with the word or the label witch. I kind of like that, but I felt like a poser a lot of my practice because I didn't, this definition that I didn't even think I was giving to myself of a witch. So my practice of just like casting spells, even doing rituals, it always felt like I was faking it, like it wasn't real. I was putting on a play, acting, but it wasn't authentic and it wasn't real. So I had to overcome that by taking the time to define, what is all this? What is magic? What does it mean when I cast a spell? What do I think? What do I believe and think, honestly, is really happening here? And then eventually defining, am I a witch? So what is that? What does that mean? What do I really think it means? for me, the person that I am in this moment, to be a witch. What does that mean? Once I had answers to those questions, it wasn't play acting anymore. Now, this had nothing to do with whether spells worked or didn't, or they didn't work as intended. This had to do with something deeper. Another thing that I would say that I struggled with as far as false starts is kind of on that same vein, which is what I thought about it, was interacting with other witches. Over the years, I would join message boards or groups, forums. Sometimes there were private forums for witches. And, oh, okay, everybody, we're going to meet here. Sometimes there would be local events, and I would seek it out and not go. I knew it was going to happen. And there was a host of different things that probably had me doing that. It was definitely a confidence thing. I didn't want to feel othered, even though technically I'm with a bunch of people who already are in the other category, but I have more other things about me, characteristics, so I didn't want to do that. And sometimes, like I said, just a confidence thing, and I would miss out on opportunities. And I believe there are some things that I truly missed out on. So a lot of false starts of putting myself out there, out of the broom closet, if I want to say that, or just putting myself out there, making it known that I am a practicing witch, and I seek to be around like-minded people. And over the years, I know I missed opportunities because I would engage, and I would back off. I also moved around a lot, so that it probably didn't help. But even still, that's on me. Like I will never know what I missed outside of maybe developing some true friendships, maybe mentorship, maybe just a sisterhood potentially. And I could have been experiencing that, but because of me kind of starting and then pulling back, starting again, and you come off flaky. So yeah. And how I resolved that, by the way, I started my own coven, and I had minimal expectations, meaning I just kind of I wanted like-minded people to get together. I mean, I had hopes deep down that it would turn into something that felt real for everyone, and I got my wish. So I got that. So now what I miss, I know, I feel it deeply that I did miss out on an opportunity, several, to build a network, to build friendship, to build a spiritual sisterhood. I have that now. So I did resolve that. Other things that, and I just want to take a pause. The reason I'm even talking about this, because I know there's somebody out there who's the same way, who feels like there's something, maybe it's not even witchcraft related, but there's something that you kind of keep dipping your toe in, and you never immerse yourself completely in, and you kind of even take yourself back out occasionally because it gets a little like their commitment or something like that. People start looking like, oh, you want to join? And you don't, you're afraid. You're like, never mind, I changed my mind. I don't want to do it. But you do want to do it. You're just afraid to sort of commit to it. I feel like there's a lot of people, but bringing it back to the practice of witchcraft, there are a lot of people who are attracted to the occult. They don't know why. They feel guilt. They feel shame about it. There are a lot of people who are afraid to embrace the unknown, the mysterious, and to sort of attempt to organize this mysterious lifestyle of witchcraft, because this is a lifestyle for me. And what does that mean? Do you have to tell people? Can I keep it to myself? I don't want anybody to know I do this. Can I still go to church? Can I still call myself a Christian? I'm single. I'm trying to meet people. Do I have to tell them I'm a witch? What are they going to think? What are my kids going to think? What is my husband going to think? What are my friends going to think? That sort of stuff. And these are legitimate questions. I don't want to minimize this and make it seem like it doesn't matter. And for some people, the problem is that this is your life and your journey. I cannot overstate this enough. If it's one thing these years have taught me, is that I live how the F I want to live. It's not about, are you paying my bills? Maybe somebody is paying you. You might have somebody paying your bills. It is still your life and your journey. It is still, life is what you make it. Please don't let jobs, employers, your profession, your children, your man, your woman, your parents, your guardian, the unhealed traumatic version of self dictate how you're supposed to live your life. Be authentic in your life. Be who you really are. That's not to say that you don't have to take into account and compromise around you with the people that you have in your life, in your circle. Those are separate things. But the compromise shouldn't be on you being you, right? A lot of the false starts mine had a lot to do with me putting other things and people before my natural desire, my natural attractions to this whole thing, this spiritual system that I was building. And the best way to get out of starting and stopping and hence false starts is to sort of admit it to yourself what's really happening and do it scared. That has been my motto to myself, something I've been saying. Do it, but do it scared. I have been so scared about a lot of things, a lot of the different moves I made over the years, very recently. This whole channel, starting a business, my leap taken business, that's a whole business that I run. And I'm so proud of myself for taking the leap, pun intended, in order to do that. And that's what this channel is about. I share fun stuff, but everything is me literally, in a literal sense, taking a leap because I'm sharing. I like to try something new. I like to read something new and share that. I'm taking all these little leaps, all these little experiences, all these opportunities that I grab at. That is part of the leap into whatever it is, the unknown, the mysterious. You can't halfway leap, though. So imagine someone at the edge of a jump. You're on a cliff and you're about to take that leap into the unknown, not really seeing what's there. It's not so much as jump. It's like leaping into it, very intentional. And you just keep hedging. You never take it. I felt like I've been at the cliff of witchcraft in my earlier days doing that. Honestly, even as of late, there's other aspects. I've kind of just been looking, dancing around, not really taking the jump. But, with me, I get tired of that. I get tired of just, staying on the edge and barely, pretending I'm going to do it, but don't. So that's exhausting. And that expends a lot of energy, by the way. And then you can get exhausted with whatever it is you wanted to do. So in my case, back then, not feeling like a real witch. So I would sort of like moon cycles would go by. I didn't pay attention. And that was important because I should have been paying attention. There were things happening. And if I hadn't been so exhausted with myself and spending so much energy with the guilt of not doing it, the desire unfulfilled, and just sitting with that and not being very happy about that, that was energy wasted. So, but yeah, full cycle, the new moon, the full moon, not paying attention to that sort of stuff, signs and symbols, again, opportunities to just converse, hang out, be in the space of other witches. I had opportunities where I lived near occult shops, metaphysical stores, and they sponsored events and things like that. More than one shop. And they sponsored events so you can come in, and not everything was, there were groups and things like that. I participated in some, but not nearly enough that I actually had an opportunity because I know what it's like to live in some places where none of that is possible. None of that is no. There's no store. There's no people, and if they are, they don't gather publicly. But I had those opportunities, and I just, you know, I tell you, don't, again, your life is your life to make of it. How you live your days, the things that you participate in. Stop taking things for granted, and then you won't have as many false starts. When you seize opportunity, the opportunities that make sense for you, of course, but seizing those opportunities, that has been, and I knew this on some level because older folk would tell me this back in the day, but you don't know it until you know it, and I completely understand it now. So no more time wasted over here. One of the things that I do now, to kind of keep myself, even as of late, when I sensed that I was doing the same thing that, I was doing before, is that, one, I do take into account of all the blessings, being in a space of gratitude of what I already have, and then also being very mindful about what have I been asking. What have I been asking? What have I been pulling and attracting into my space, my world, my life from the universe? What am I desiring, consciously and unconsciously? Because sometimes maybe it's not about a false start. Maybe because of, and that's another thing, maybe you've been stopping and starting because it's not something you really want to do. Maybe there's an expectation that you should be doing something. So maybe you don't want to become a tarot reader and charge for services. Maybe you don't want to be a witch who offers services to other people, and you've been kind of operating from a point of view that, oh, I want to learn all this, and then I want to get to the point where I'm, start a business as a witch, and I have a shop, and I do all that. Maybe that's not really something deep down that you want to do. Maybe you want to study, you want to gain occult knowledge, you want to connect to spirit in ways that you don't fully understand just yet, but you feel a genuine attraction to this, just for the sake of you're fulfilling your spiritual self. Maybe it's not to monetize. I realize there's some people who think that the more knowledge, the more they become powerful in this witchcraft system, that they're supposed to monetize it. Because I have all this knowledge, surely I'm supposed to get rich. Or there are some people who think like that. Or at least, get paid for it. Now, I do, as a person who runs a spiritual business, I do believe in the exchange of money for services. So I'm not discrediting that, but I don't think that's everyone's journey. And I do believe that we have a lot of people coming into this where they do think that's what it means. That's like the highest level, is to finally get to that stage where, for me, I mean, first of all, I don't know if there's a highest level, but I don't think it's that. So maybe your false starts are because, again, unrealistic expectations about why are you gathering this knowledge? Why are you looking into this? Why are you so drawn into it? Or what are you drawn to exactly? To what end? Again, it's more about doing that shadow work and asking yourself questions and being willing to be real. These questions are for you and you only. You don't have to answer them to, provide those answers to anyone else. It's more about your personal understanding. And that's another thing, understanding. There's so much more understanding of self that is needed in witchcraft that a lot of people aren't willing to do. And I mean, the people that I come across a lot of different people, as some of us do, but I've moved around a lot. So every few years, a new batch of folk. And building relationships and still maintaining the other relationships. So I've built like a good little network. of all different types of characters. And, the thing about that is because I come across so many different people, you start to understand, and especially with me spending time allowing my intuition to kind of run free and follow suit, instead of questioning everything and just becoming more intuitive, and dare I say almost to the point of psychic about some things. And that's another conversation. But what I've intuited, what I've understanding that I have is that there are a lot of people who are truly not willing to analyze themselves even a little bit. They're not willing to ask themselves questions. They literally operate in a world where that's like the no-no zone. Like they don't take any introspection into account at any stage of their life. And even if they're teetering on it, they usually pull back, they'll make a joke. And at first I thought this was just very much a Gen X thing, because I, travel in the circles of people around my age group. But I would learn, no, there are a lot of people who don't ever have like an inner dialogue, and they're really answering questions. Like it just, and I've talked to some people, and I get the feeling it's just like a door that they never can get. They will not open that door. The door has locks on it. They have the key. They pretend they don't. It's like they don't know. They act like the door is not even there. Like in their mind, the door with all this, these answers behind it, but they don't want to look into that at all. It's tough being someone who is very in tune with who they are. I know my likes, dislikes, wants, needs, desires. I'm comfortable with the things that don't fit societal norms. I'm comfortable with that. When I sit down and I talk to someone who has no idea even how to consider themselves outside of how they are to be perceived by the outside world, it's no wonder they have false starts. It's no wonder they're struggling. I completely understand why they're struggling with moving on to whatever their next level is in their witchcraft and their spirituality, let alone anything else in their life. You don't have a strong sense of self that you've defined. And that's my final word on this, is just, again, this understanding of self. Once you do, then all the other things that have gotten in your way from, constantly starting and then stopping, that sort of goes away. And then, sometimes you might experience something for a season. It's not about a false start. You looked into a topic, or you've had some experiences, but you felt like there was a natural, organic ending to that, and we're moving on to something else. It was, and maybe we come back to it later. That's a different sort of progression than wanting to start something, wanting to be involved in it, and then because of outside influences, negativity, negative dialogue, trauma, low confidence, all that sort of stuff, fear, keeps you from continuing on. So then you pull back. That's a different conversation. So I hope this is helpful to someone. It felt right to talk about this. I think someone sort of needed to hear this, and I'm going to go with that. I think someone needed to hear this sort of conversation, not to beat themselves up, but to maybe start asking some tough questions to yourself. For some people, it's going to be tough questions. Other people are like, that's not a tough question. I know what I like. But really, if you're watching this, seriously, ask yourself, what do you like? Do you know what you like anymore? Do you, just in general, what do you like to do? What makes you excited? What makes you happy? What interests do you have? When it comes to the occult, when it comes to witchcraft, where are you at right now? What path are you currently studying? Are you studying multiple things? Why do you think that is? Do you think it's just to gain knowledge? Is it just to sort of document? Is it just out of just pure interest? Or do you feel like it's a natural progression in your journey as a witch? Those are great questions to start asking yourself if you struggle with the whole false start thing. All right, so I appreciate you've got this far into the video. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Mika. This is Leap Taken. Please like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the join button to join Leap Taken membership. There are perks. Head over to my website at leaptaken.com. Please check out the services that I offer. And did you also know I have a second YouTube channel where I share a little bit more about my craft as a cottage witch, and that is called Magical Lifestyle of a Cottage Witch here on YouTube. All right, thanks again. I appreciate you all. Bye.